great season for the St. Bonaventure women's basketball team has come to an end as the Bonnies fell to Notre Dame 79-35 in a Sweet 16 matchup in Raleigh, North Carolina. This game marks the end in careers for seniors Megan Van Tatenhove, Jessica Jenkins, Jenny Ashton, and Armelia Horton. This is a link to the NCAA highlights, and here's a look at the post-game press conference.
An opening statement, please.
Well, obviously, we would have liked to be more competitive in this game. You know, on the basketball side of things, I thought early we missed a few layups and a few shots that we normally get. And while we still defended pretty well, we just could never get into offensive groove. And I thought a lot of that was Notre Dame's defense. In the second half, you know, we haven't been down like that, and I think that affected us. And we gave some runouts to them, and they really obviously then blossomed the lead up. But you know, 40 minutes isn't going to define our season. It didn't earlier in the year. It doesn't right now. The fact that we're here obviously means a ton to us, but also the fact of the number of fans that came out and supported us and that they stayed to the very end. While we may not have played as well as we're capable of, I think that shows what our university is all about, and we're so appreciative of that.
Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll open up the floor for questions for the student athletes. Once again, questions only for the student athletes during this segment. Does anyone have a question? Nick, if we could start over there, please.
Kurt Rollo, South Bend Tribune. Jessica, can you talk a little bit about Notre Dame's defense? I mean, was it their quickness, or is it something else they do that causes problems?
I mean, they're really physical with you on cuts. They don't even really let you set them up or anything, which is, you know, something we see a little bit, but not, you know, every day in and out. So that was probably the biggest thing, is they're just really physical, and they are really, really good at blowing up screens and running you off the three-point line. So, I mean, it was just a lot of different things, and they were able to defend a lot of us one-on-one for the most part. So, you know, the screens weren't working as well as they normally do, I guess.
Other questions for the student athletes? Thank you, Nick.
Tom Missel, Bonaventure Magazine. Jess, I know you're not probably proud of what happened today, but can you talk about how proud you are of what you've accomplished in your 4 years here, and especially this year, for the coach, for yourself, for your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, this year was just so much fun. It was, like, unreal. I mean, playing every day with these girls was just so fun, and I think having the crowd just, like, still chanting at the end of the game just showed kind of how far our program had come, and really shows how much fun we had this year. And I mean, that was just kind of the best part, I think.
Let's go right there.
Chuck Pollock, Oland Times. Doris, do you remember a game since you've been at Bona where it was so difficult to get any kind of a shot? I'm just not talking about you, I mean collectively.
No, I think Jess hit on it. They're just really a good team and physical, and that's something that she said we've seen a little bit, but we never, at least this season or last season, I can remember, could barely get off shots, which I think made it very, very hard for us to even get into our offensive flow. But, I mean, to their credit, they did it well, and unfortunately we came up short.
Bucky.
Hi, Bucky Gleason, Buffalo News. Jess, just watching you just now, you're obviously having a mix of, you know, there's tears and laughter, and I'm sure Jim's just cracked a joke. If you can just describe the emotions for you, what it's like for you at this point. You obviously had a tough game. That's a good team.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, kind of seeing your college career wind down, which is obviously not what you want to ever see. But I'm really proud of how far we've came, and I don't think at the beginning of the year we would have thought that we'd be up here at the Sweet 16 or anything. So, I mean, I'm sure looking back I'll be happy about it, but right now it's just tough.
Let's go over there.
Jess, you guys have played some good teams this year, but a #1 seed, the way they play, you just have to kind of visualize that. Is that just kind of a culture shock when you get on the floor and a team is playing across the board at that level?
Yeah, I mean, they came out, you know, ready to go, and we didn't, and I think that was, you know, a really tough start for us, obviously. And they just have, I mean, everybody on their team could do just so much, I mean, offensively and defensively. So obviously I think they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder like we have all year, just because they, you know, want to get back and win a national title after they fell short last year, and I think you can kind of see that intensity.
Bucky?
Just when did the reality hit you in this game that holy cow, these girls are really good. Like we're in deep trouble here.
I don't know. I mean, obviously they got out to a really good start, but I mean, you know, they scored and Doris scored on our first possession. So, you know, I feel like it wasn't like the very beginning. I mean, obviously it wasn't like the beginning or anything. We knew they were going to be good, and I feel like just because we've been down a lot this year, we felt like, you know, we kept thinking we could come back and make, you know, cut into the lead a little bit step by step and everything and take it 4 minutes at a time. So I don't know when it really, you know, set in or anything, but I mean, obviously from the beginning we knew that they were one of the best teams in the country.
Right there, Nick.
CC, Kurt Rallo, South Bend Tribune. You guys held Notre Dame scoreless for about 5:15, I think, in the first half. Can you talk a little bit about what you did to them, how you disrupted their offense?
Well, I felt like at the beginning we were a little bit overwhelmed at first, seeing how Notre Dame came out. But once we came back into the huddle and Coach basically told us to calm down and to be true to our defense, I think we realized at that point, like, we got here because of our defense. We got here because of who we are, and I felt that we just had trust in our teammates and faith in our defense that we could stop them.
Other questions for the student athletes? All right, ladies, thank you very much. You're excused.
Thanks.
All right, at this time, we'll go ahead and open up the questions for the coach. Nick, can we get one in the middle there?
Jim, Andy Gardner with USA Today. How helpless did you feel on the sidelines as things just kept kind of getting away from you? And was there anything you felt you could do to stem the tide?
The only time I really felt helpless was in the start of the second half. I felt like we had lost playing hard, and we were hanging our head, and that's a feeling I haven't had in our program in a while. It's one I know because I had it a few years back, and I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. But I thought our kids recovered pretty well, and we took away them getting easy runouts, and you know, they were able to score some. Even in the first half when they jumped out to the lead, as Kurt pointed out, we came back and defended really well. You know, my biggest worry the whole time was if we could score, and obviously that came to fruition. Just missing so many shots, they were able to get that many more possessions, and you just don't want to give them extra possessions. They're way too talented for that.
Can we go right up front here?
Chris Massoud, Notre Dame Observer. Coach, the poor shooting in both halves, how much of that was self-inflicted and how much of that was just Notre Dame's athleticism on the defense?
They do not get enough credit for their defense. You know, they're able to get up in you, and then if you do get by them, they have great shot blockers and they react really well to the ball. They have exceptional hands and they understand how to go for the ball. I mean, late in the game, probably the last 2 minutes, I think it was 12. Yeah, 12, who, you know, is a substitute kid for them, was mad at herself because she allowed a crossover. You know, that kind of mentality is just so impressive to see. So I thought some of it was us. I thought we were a little wound early and missed a few that could have maybe saved us some things. But I think a lot of it was them. They're so much better in person than on film, and I thought they were terrific on film. So they're really underrated how good they defend.
Let's go there, Nick.
Jim, I know Megan, Jess especially, you could see it on the bench, was heartbroken at the way the game turned out. But can you talk a little bit about what she and Megan and Arm and Jenny have meant to you in getting the program to this point?
You know, it was a few years ago that I didn't think I'd be coaching, much less to this point. And, you know, these kids come in and they have a terrific 3 years as their freshman, sophomore, and junior years. And then instead of resting on their laurels, which sometimes seniors do, they refocused themselves and got in the best shape they ever have. I mean, Jess has transformed her body and set an example of work ethic and diet and different things like that. And Jenny has been an amazing teammate, and Arm's body is beat up. I mean, the poor kid hurts with everything she does. And then, you know, she got hurt down in Tallahassee too and keeps playing through it. And, you know, Meg's playing 6'5" kids a lot of times and bigger kids. And but they never thought about that. They just thought about what could they do to make us better. And then this year, the way they established their leadership. I mean, we got 2,000 students. We have no women's basketball history at all, and we're in a Sweet 16. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable, and for them to be able to get us here, thank you seems like too soft of words to say to them. But the biggest hope is obviously they've taught the younger kids what it means, and we can keep moving forward in a positive direction.
Questions for the coach?
You obviously looked at the film, you've seen him play on TV, but is it, once you get on the court, you get your team on the court and see them like that, it's not like, whoa, we can't duplicate this in practice, it's OJT?
Yeah, we can't duplicate a lot of stuff we go against in practice, but the thing that got me is how good they are at sensing you're not ready or you can't, you're frustrated. We withstood the first part, and I thought our defense was giving us some opportunities. But once we kind of hung our head a little bit late in the first half, certainly the start of the second half, I mean, they put the foot on the pedal. And that's really hard to get teams to understand and do. They were never comfortable, one through how many ever kids they played. And that speaks to the incredible coaching job they do to make their kids have that mentality and the leadership they must have within their team. I just wish we had played better, but a lot of that certainly was what Notre Dame did.
Bucky?
Jim, was it in that first part of the second half there, the first couple minutes there when they took off again, it looked like, just me watching you, that you there was a timeout and you kind of looked like, I really don't have an answer for that. Was that what was going through your head? Like, there's not anything that I can do to...
Yeah, I mean, we were so frustrated. I mean, 1 through 12, we were frustrated, and I could have called timeouts. I'm not a huge fan of them anyway, but it would have just been more. We need to play harder. We need to get back. We need to, and the kids knew that. It's just you're still dealing with kids, and they got frustrating, and that's where Notre Dame is so good because they sensed it and they put it right on us, which is what great teams do. So it was there was some things that I learned that are very valuable to me as far as how they approach things and did things that I think can really help our program. And hopefully our kids learn that it's no fun to get beat like that, and we'll work our tail off to not let that happen again.
Jim, the game was long since decided. 3 minutes left. A couple hundred people stand up and give a standing ovation, and then they did the chant at the end. Was that kind of a reminder that, hey, people still appreciate what got us here?
Yeah, I mean, that's our place. That's our area. And I don't mean any disrespect from this, but Texas A&M, Maryland, Notre Dame, they're used to this stuff. This is new to us. Hopefully it happens again, but we don't know if it will. And that goes for our alumni, our community, and it's a big deal. And the fact that it is a big deal means the world to us, and we appreciate it, and we're so grateful that it does. And that's, we're a school trying to get to 2,000 people, and here we are on the big stage. And I wish we could have performed better, but the fact that the people who were here behind us still believed in us and still appreciated it, it speaks volumes to the character of our school area and fans.
Let's go up front to Viv.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. You talked yesterday about them having an edge because of having lost last year in the title game. Did you see that today? Was it not just the physical domination, but the mental approach?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was the thing that I think I'll even appreciate more once I get over the fact that we got our butts kicked, is that they, there was no let up. Up 40, it didn't matter to them, and they were mad when they allowed us to do something, and they weren't going to let Jenkins get a shot, and they were going to make life difficult for Megan, and they were committed to it, and every kid that got in the game stuck with that. And I mean, that's what champions do, and that was, again, I think it will be a really positive thing for our young kids to have seen and experienced, because there's a reason why they're in the title game. There's a reason why they won the Big East regular season, and there's a reason why they're #1 seed, and we got to see that today. It wasn't a lot of fun to see, but it's definitely something we can learn from.
Other questions for the coach? All right, Coach, thank you very much. The Notre Dame press conference will start momentarily.